All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're looking at a completely different way to think about faith education, an approach that literally turns the old way of doing things on its head. It's called flipped spirituality. And trust me, it's a game changer for how we tackle life's biggest questions.
But to get why this is so important, let's start with a problem. Just read this quote for a second. It's from a young student, and wow, does this hit home for a lot of people, right? You can put in the time, a decade even, reading and studying, but then a friend asks a simple, honest question, and suddenly you're stuck.
And that feeling, that experience, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is the student the problem, or could it be the method we're all so used to? This whole explainer is built on the idea that maybe, just maybe, we need to take a hard look at the method itself.
And this points to a much bigger issue, something we can call a crisis in learning. There's this huge disconnect between the way we've always taught these big topics and the way people, especially younger people, actually learn today.
I mean, when you put these two models side by side, the difference is night and day. The traditional model, that's top-down. The teacher talks, you listen. They give the answers, you receive them. But the flipped model, it flips that completely inside out. It doesn't start with the teacher's answers, it starts with your questions.
And that's where the crisis comes from. See, modern learners don't want to just be empty buckets waiting to be filled. We want to be active. We want learning that feels personal to us, something we can discuss with others, and then find our own creative ways to express it. The old school lecture and memorize format, it just falls flat.
So, if the old model is broken, what's the fix? Well, it's all about a totally new philosophy, flipping the model. And that brings us to flipped, or in Korean, gokaru, spirituality. That word gokaru means reversed or upside down, and that's exactly what this is. It's not just a new classroom technique, it's a fundamental change in where the journey begins. It starts with the questions that are already inside you.
And this is maybe the biggest mind shift of all. Think about how we view questions. In the old way, asking a lot of hard questions could seem like you were being difficult, or that you had doubts. But in the flipped view, questions are a good thing. They're a sign that you're engaged, that you're growing. They're literally the engine of the entire journey. So where did this idea even come from? Well, it actually started with this really powerful vision, a tree, soaking up light from the sky, which then allowed it to grow deep roots and produce tons of fruit. That became the perfect metaphor. You don't force faith to grow, you just provide the right conditions, the light, and it will grow naturally, organically.
Right, so you might be thinking, this sounds cool, but how does it actually work? Well, it's not random. There's a really clear, structured path called the three-stage question journey.
Think of it like a journey in 3 parts, and it's super logical. It begins from the inside out. You start with those really personal questions about yourself, then you move outward to the bigger questions about God, and finally, you get to the stage where you're looking for real, solid evidence.
So, stage 1, this is where it gets really personal. It starts with those huge questions we all ask ourselves at some point. Who am I? What's my purpose? These are questions that everybody, no matter their background, can relate to because they come from deep inside us.
And what's so cool about this is how one question just flows into the next. It's not forced. It's like a vine growing. Once you really start wrestling with, who am I? It just naturally leads you to wonder, and who made me?
And that, of course, brings us to stage 2, the creator's questions. Now the focus shifts from just me to the maker. Who is this creator? Can I trust the Bible? What about these huge claims like the resurrection of Jesus? It's the logical next step.
And you know what's really interesting? This whole question-based approach, it's not new. In fact, it's modeled on how Jesus himself often taught. If you read the Gospels, you'll see he rarely just gave a straight answer. Instead, he'd ask a question back, something to make people think for themselves and discover the truth on their own.
All right, so we've asked about ourselves, we've asked about God. Now comes stage 3, the hunt for evidence. This is the show me the proof stage. You start asking really specific, tough questions that require digging into the text for answers, like this one about Isaiah 53. The goal isn't blind faith, it's a conviction built on a foundation of evidence.
So after all this, where does it lead? What's the point of this whole journey? Well, it's about a total transformation, from just knowing stuff to actually being a witness.
The best way to think about it is like you're putting together a giant puzzle. In the old model, you're just handed the finished picture. Here, you're given the pieces. Every question you ask and find an answer to is one more piece you get to click into place. You are the one building the big picture.
And that means the teacher's role has to change too. You go from being the sage on the stage to the guide on the side. The whole vibe shifts from, I will teach you, to, hey, let's figure this out together. It becomes a partnership, a side-by-side journey.
And when you boil it all down, what's the number one goal here? It's not about winning an argument or acing a test. It's about what the Source calls relationship recovery, restoring a real, living, personal connection with God.
But wait, it doesn't stop there. The journey has this amazing final step. It's where you take everything you've discovered and do something really cool with it. You're challenged to create what's called invisible evidence.
So what does that even mean? It means you're making stuff. You're turning these big, invisible ideas into real things you can see and share. Maybe it's a storyboard explaining a concept that finally clicked for you, or a short video about your discovery, or even just a beautiful card you designed to invite a friend to start their own journey. When you create, you truly own the knowledge.
And that is the ultimate transformation. This whole process takes a person from being a passive student, maybe full of questions they're afraid to ask, and turns them into an active witness. Someone who isn't just repeating answers, but is equipped with their own story and their own evidence.
So, we're going to end where this whole thing started, with a question. Only this time, it's for you. After hearing all this, what is the most important question that you need to ask to either begin or to go deeper on your own journey of discovery?